Okay, are we? Hello. Hey everyone. Hi guys. Yeah. I think you guys can see my screen, right? So I think I'll get started. So yeah. So before we get started, I think I'll like to thank Metaverse Carnival, for giving me this opportunity and our firm for helping us present here and talk about the metaverse the way we see it. So yeah, so today I'll be talking about the future of metaverse and mainly on potential use cases that we believe will drive user adoption and investment opportunities. So before we get started, I'll give a brief about where we are coming from. So we are Maple Block Capital, and I am Deepak. I look at India investments here, and this is a disclaimer and disclosure which we typically show before we get started. So we are a Web3 focused fund, and we have been in this industry for more than 5 years now. And we have backed 200 plus Web3 startups. And right from seed stage, we are known to get in very early, and we don't exit very short term. So we are always long term, and we have still held a lot of tokens which we bought during the previous boom as well. And we are based out of Dubai. Okay, so we have a lot to cover, so I'll just take you guys through. So I think because you have all been part of this festival, most of us will know like what is a metaverse and everything. I'll still briefly take you guys through to just show how we look at metaverse. So this is our core belief, which we believe is that metaverse is actually an intersection of three technological trends: massive virtual worlds, VR and AR growth, and crypto and NFT boom. So all these three together, when they three are combined, only then the metaverse, as we know it, will become possible. Not only any of the two or anything. Right now, we are still very far behind the metaverse, which we will eventually see in the future. So this is one of the key slides. So metaverse is where actually everything comes together. Every industry or everything which Web3 is being associated with, and even parts of Web2, which we believe will are the future and everything. So all of these will come together here. So if you look at this infographic, cryptocurrency, DeFi, NFTs, VR tech, and then give up to gaming, all of actually when combined, only then metaverse is possible. So this is one of the key things which we believe is that the ideal metaverse will actually feel just like a real world and will be actually much better. So this is a quote. I think this was from CEO of Meta, Zuckerberg. So it's more of an embodied internet. That's how I also see it. Instead of just viewing content like today's 2D experiences, you can actually it's an immersive experience. You can be in that experience, like how in the real world you are in that experience. Yeah. So this is we'll now head to the state of the current metaverse landscape. I'll be mainly talking about the different firms which are associated here and where we are in the journey of the metaverse. So interestingly, if you are aware, there are a lot of Web3 metaverses already, and they claim to be the next big metaverse where everyone will come and play. So the major ones, Decentraland, Sandbox, I think everyone would know. But there are still many other startups who are trying to do something similar or better than them. So this is just to show that the activity is very strong in the community. Yeah. So This is what we actually believe, and numbers which we actually support ourselves with. So early days of the metaverse. So this the the days which we are seeing right now, it's very early. So if you compare it with the market cap of Web 2 metaverse companies right now, which are basically gaming companies, so the market cap is about 15 trillion already, and the current user base with all the Web3 metaverses which you saw in the previous slide, it's only about 50K users. So the journey which we believe will happen is the 50K users right now to the 500 million users, which we will see, and it will become very similar to metaverse companies are right now, but actually much bigger. So it's that's how early we are in this journey. So these are the top five which I actually like to show, is that these are actually massive virtual worlds. They are not exactly metaverses, but yeah. One thing which we can note here is that these virtual worlds are already having very strong revenue models. So we can see here they are already a billion plus revenue models, and the user group is also very clear here. And the month MAU also, you can see it's very huge already. So it's already here, this new gaming world, where virtual world where everyone wants to be involved. This has already been there, so since I think internet became very mainstream. So yeah. And another interesting thing, why metaverse is actually gaining so much attraction, everything. So artists and brands are all in the metaverse. So why is this happening, that artists and brands I already believe in this metaverse across industries, in the use cases of the metaverse? You can see all the major artists are here, and there are different concerts, music festivals, fashion, everything is covered in entertainment everywhere. So what are they trying to do here is that the user generation, which is the next generation here, under 16, 18 to 25. So they are actually very much interested in this, and these artists, to actually be relevant to the next generation as well, are already going to the metaverse. So these are some of the brand collaborations which we put together. So strong interest in major brands. Here in this list, you can actually literally see every single big brand: Microsoft, Samsung, Coca-Cola, Hyundai, Cristiano Ronaldo, Louis Vuitton, every major university, you can see Meds. So all the major brands have already made their end. So it's already happening, and the trend is only increasing. And fashion is one, it's such a big deal in metaverse already. So people actually spend hours and hours just dressing up their avatar in the metaverse and everything. So these are some metaverses, and the potential brands who already have experience in them, or are selling their customized clothes for the avatar within the metaverse and everything. And it's actually very surprising that people are willing to spend hours and hours, sometimes in a single day as well, just dressing, just to dress up their avatar and go visit these worlds with their friends. So the main age group we are talking about here is the 16 to 25. That's the age group. So it's already happening in these different apps. Yeah. So this is one major thing, and I think I'll spend some time explaining the key takeaways here, because we went through a lot of slides. So these are the key takeaways, and this is what we actually firmly believe, is that there is not one metaverse. It won't be just one metaverse, like it's like one internet. There is no one internet. Everyone can have their own kind of a network and operate within it. So it will be very similar to that, not one metaverse. The reason is pretty clear, because consumer preferences are very different. A 16-year-old and a 50-year-old and a 30-year-old, they wouldn't want to be in the same same worlds basically. And geographies across also, we see a lot of differences. Like one example which I very often give is that Zepito, which is a Southeast Asian massive virtual world. So you see the kind of style, the avatars, the whole design aspect, it's so much different from, let's say, Roblox, which is actually a younger generation, and it's more inclined towards the US geography. And comparing that with uh, Zepito, Roblox, and comparing that with Fortnite, which is a slightly higher age group but still focused towards US. So, and the user behaviors are also very different in each of these. One is user generated content, the other one is not so much. It's also centralized content. So various different models and various different metaverses exist today. as of today, right now, and it will only increase going. That's what we say. And one more thing is that the metaverse is already here. We just like I mentioned previously, the journey is a long one, but we are definitely, it has already started and we are already here. So young users are the biggest bet, and they are already very very familiar with the world of experiences. Unlike our generation, unlike the current generation, I think, I don't know, but yeah, we are more accustomed to the internet. When I think internet was the main thing, and I was very hooked to internet already. It's very similar to the younger users who are already hooked to the world of experiences, which is actually the metaverse itself. And one key point which I think I'll bring here, the data point, is that uh, last year the Quest 2 sales actually it overtook the Xbox sales itself. So that kind of shows where this is headed. So even gaming, which is Xbox, is the major leader. That has been overtook by Meta, and the Quest 2 is selling so well, and the current Quest is actually way more better than the previous one. And that is just the VR market, and this is not even we are talking about the typical mobile where Zepito and Roblox reside. And money in the metaverse. So that's another major thing. Even though it's very early, even though it's still not the mainstream internet, the brand collaborations and in-game purchases are huge, and we already see, like I mentioned, so many brands, so many artists, almost like everyone is already behind this young age group who are the future, and that's the reason they are already generating such strong revenue streams. And yeah, evolving business models, that's what I mean by here. So a lot of different business models are coming up, each different metaverse or the massive virtual world which I showed before. They have various different business models, and we still are not sure which one will stick on to in the long run, but all of them are very interesting. User generated content is one of my favorites, and social media, the next version of the social media, NFT sales, basically everything around NFTs and the tracking of them, and subscription models also, kind of like how YouTube Premium or other different models are. It's very interesting to see this. Yeah, so coming to the metaverse future, I think here I'll spend most of my time. I don't know how much time I have, but yeah, metaverse future. So this is where the use cases and everything come to. I was just setting the context for these slides till now. So this is the key point. The Gen Z, which is the next generation, will live in the metaverse itself. The next generation, for them, this is the next generation of the internet. It's very plain simple if we look at it like this. And Roblox, Fortnite, these are just the start of the metaverse. And uh, I actually believe that maybe these won't even be relevant by the time 10 years pass, when this metaverse is like the embodied version of the internet. So we don't know, but they are already very strong. So the user attention, the user, it's already verified, the market fit is there. Yeah, so what do these Gen Z or the young users who are using the metaverse, what do they prefer, what do they want? So if you see this very great survey or this study which we have put together, is that the users love avatars. This is the first thing. Many people feel, even today I feel, that why do I use an avatar and everything. But if we look at the next generation, they are actually very comfortable in these avatars rather than their own selves. They actually spend a lot. If you see, the first point which they actually like is that they want as much flexibility in choosing the avatar as possible. So the things, and we have seen so much data that users actually love these avatars, and they actually see them as their own extension of their selves in the virtual world. And users engagement in higher, so this is very key. We have been constantly seeing that user engagement in current mobile devices, in social media apps, everything, it's actually stagnating, or even in some cases dropping, like Facebook and other social media platforms. But in the metaverse, the engagement is very high. The engagement with the ads and everything, because the experience is so immersive, it doesn't even feel like an ad. Like I have been to these massive, like in Zepito, in all these different Roblox, the advertisement is so ingrained. It's like a whole experience. You go into a Nike, entire football stadium is there, entire racetrack is there, and you wear the shoes and you can run. So this kind of an experience, it's actually an experience rather than an ad. which is actually an ad. It's a sponsored thing by the Nike to actually put their experience. So it's very very high engagement and users love it. And the other thing is one universe like I previously mentioned, it's more like different worlds will be there, but all of these will fall within one huge universe, and it will play out very well. So this is one key thing which we see as the use case, is that how the evolution of the metaverse is from gaming. So gaming becomes very very central. So that I think my entire deck theme is also very focused towards gaming and how that will become the future metaverse. So this is just a table kind of a thing. Main things which you have to see here is that the players, per instance, it can support a lot more now, and the content. It's not large game studios. It's not centralized, and it can't be centralized because of these two things: interactivity and transferability. Unlike Web 1 and Web 2, you can see only within game there was interconnectivity. You can go from one place to another only within the game. Even in Web 2 is the same till now, and even transferability of assets. Like if I buy an asset and it only exists within the game, it has no independent existence or anything. But these are the key in Web3. You can see here across games and worlds. That's what we believe. There won't be like one Roblox and everyone will be within Roblox. It won't definitely won't be like that. It will be I visit Roblox in the morning and then I hop on with the same avatar or a similar one into a different metaverse, which I think is more cool. Or uh, basically like apps, like how we switch apps, but here the identity is maintained within the all these different apps. I don't know if that made sense. And even transferability, assets have an independent existence owing to the blockchain or everything. So NFTs, all those things. And yeah, and one more thing is that non-game modes will become bigger. Like right now we're only talking about game modes, but I think non-game modes, it has some huge market. Like for example is the horizon workrooms of Meta. So that's just one example of how a real use case work environment can actually operate. And on game mode, which is actually it's a extension of a game itself, but it's a non-game. It's workplace meetings, attending meetings, and even tourism. So there are a lot of different, even fitness. So a lot of different non-game modes. Even actually social media, hanging out. A lot of things can be done. So why do I believe games are so central? So games are the portals to the metaverse. That's I actually fundamentally believe this. So you can see here what I tried to do is that DeFi, as we all know, has gained a lot of attention in the last couple of years, actually from 2021 boom. Uh, but gaming, I don't know if people have been paying attention to gaming, but DeFi boom is huge, and it has gone from nothing industry, like it didn't exist couple 2 years before, 2 3 years before, and now it's $100 billion market cap total TVL which we are seeing and everything. But gaming, it has started. Definitely, it has started, but definitely the dollars are not rolling in, which is expected. So you can see here what I have. This is the snapshot of yesterday. So you can see users, number of users using the games protocols. All of these are Web3 only, Web3 protocols, basic smart contracts, and number of transactions which you are seeing in games and DeFi and volume. So main things are twice as many users are in games than in DeFi, and this is during a bear market. This is what I want to show people, that everyone thinks it's gone and everything, but games overtook DeFi activity, user active, based on UAW, unique active wallets on different protocols. If you see that games actually overtook last year, 2021, I think October around, games overtook, and it has always stayed. Twice as many users use games rather than on DeFi, and that makes sense when user activity and everything. And transactions, yeah, this is because of the frequent user activity which needs to be done in a game, unlike in DeFi where you are just making one purchase and then you are done for the day. So these 19x more transactions being here. This is the key metric which I want to highlight. And yeah, but only a fraction of the DeFi dollars is actually being traded. This is very key. It's only 1 by 200, saying 0.5%. So 0.5% of the volume traded on DeFi, this one, is actually being traded on games. So it's very, very, very early. The reason is there isn't actually any real use case for this. It's mostly people, rich guys who are playing this for fun or to earn a living in some developing country. So mostly it's like this. That's why it's very early. But once it gets as mainstream as DeFi, where everyone feels that this is actually a superior financial offering than a traditional finance offering which I'm getting, or something similar, a gaming experience on Web2 is actually very inferior to a Web3 gaming experience which I can get, then the entire thing, the whole dynamics will change, and you can already see the number of transactions scale which you're seeing here. So imagine the volume, even if it increases. So, but that's I think will happen slowly. So that's why we believe games are the portals, but we don't know which games will stick on the 10-year journey, which I believe will happen for the metaverse to become real. But yeah, it will definitely happen. And these are example use cases. So I want to show these to show that all the big brands, how they are engaging with some example use cases. So product marketing, this is pretty straightforward. So NFT collectibles by Coca-Cola, they launch their own NFT collectibles during the boom itself. And there are a lot of other brands I haven't even mentioned here, like Tiffany has their own product which is coming up, NFT Cyberpunk, and Louis Vuitton has their own, they did their own NFT collectibles, and like a lot of brands. It's huge, the list. And customer engagement, like I mentioned, Gucci Garden in Roblox, Nike in Roblox, a lot of different things. David Guetta in Roblox, many things. In Zepito also, there are these, but even Gucci is in Zepito, Blackpink is in Zepito, a lot of things. So Gen Commerce, this is very interesting because there is a e-commerce solution already building up, kind of like a 3D immersive shopping experience where you go to the mall, you actually shop and everything. And loyalty. So Adidas has partnered with BAYC to actually give custom, very special releases, NFT releases, which actually maps to an Adidas shoe. So if you have this NFT, then you know that you are a very premium member of Adidas and you are eligible to this free, like a physical shoe, which you can actually wear and show it off to your friends as well. So that's a kind of a link between the real and the NFT world. Education, I think, and in fact, I think many people would have known virtual campuses, everything. Digital twins is another thing. BMW is already creating uh, twins of their own already existing physical cars in the metaverse, so that those can be used in all the different metaverses that they will use. It's actually a digital twin. It's already, you can check it out on NVIDIA's Omniverse. So these are some examples, and I think this doesn't do justice to the number of use cases which is possible with the metaverse. I actually believe every real world use case which you see in today's world, every real world use case can actually be framed and will be built going ahead in the metaverse. So yeah, these are some example use cases. I also put this together, more specific to biggest industries which I believe will, at least we will see initially blowing up, is fashion, apparel, fashion. This will mainly because of the attractiveness of the avatars, how avatars are so sticky than the entire world experience itself. Right now, that's where we are. The avatar is more stickier than the world experience. So what you can do with the avatar is actually far limiting, but the avatar itself, you can actually dress up almost however you want. So that's why we believe digital fashion is the huge. So monetize existing intellectual. These are just some examples. I won't go through each of them, but yeah, these are some examples. And financial services. The reason I have put this up is how to focus on how DeFi is becoming so huge and how that can actually be integrated in the metaverse itself using digital ID signatures, ZK Tech, and all these different various new upcoming technologies, and build very immersive kind of a bank in the metaverse with lower cost, higher engagement, uh, much better customer acquisitions, uh, all these different things. So I would like to talk a little bit about the digital identity part of it. So digital identity landscape is the key to actually make the Web3 or the metaverse very real. And this is getting already, it's very solid infrastructure is already being built, and this will actually become the login of the internet, like how the login was like the default thing for every internet company back in the 2000s. They have their own custom login, and now, right, there is no custom login. It's all just like FB, Google, and Twitter, LinkedIn, mostly these two to three login of the internet, and they actually control the entire internet wherever you are taking your digital identity. So it will be very similar, very, very similar experience which we will see in the future, where your avatar will be linked to digital identity, and everywhere you go, it will be the avatar which will be visiting that place, and that will be kind of the login. Are you allowed to this place or anything? Even that will be decided based on your avatar. So that is like the login equivalent of the internet. And you can see here NFT collections. This is the thing, and there are already many avatar SDKs, like all these different companies. They're already doing. Ready Player is an very very interesting one. How they have built a very easy plug and play brand. And you can see, because the digital identity is becoming so huge, the next thing which even actually falls out is digital fashion. So as soon as you say there is a digital identity, it's the fashion is the first thing which comes, and that's why we see almost every big fashion betting huge. And actually, there are digital designers right now in these brands whose core focus is to actually design clothes for the metaverse itself, for digital identities. Yeah, I think I'll just close. I think I took a lot of time, but I think I'll just close with these final thoughts. So yeah, it's very very early in the market. I think it's a bear market, and I just want to highlight this. It's very much like the dot-com bubble burst, right where we are. So if you compare the Web one boom, which happened 1999, and that's when the crash happened of 81%. This is the Nasdaq actually. So when the user base was about 400 million, the crash happened. That's the number. Actually, 279 million, the crash happened 1999. And here you can see we are very similar active wallets now, 295. So it's very, very, very similar to Strike actually what's happening now. Now we have seen about 71. Actually, I think it's even higher now. It's about 75 or 76. But yeah, it's this is resemblance which we have seen. And one thing which I want to point out is the market fell in 2000s, 2000, 2001, and it took it the same expectation in 2015. So it was a 10 to 15 year journey which happened. And that's when all these different companies came into existence. And it took 10 to 15 years to actually do that. And I think we will see a similar thing which will happen in the next decade or so. So yeah. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Metaverse Carnival, everyone there for the team to and for inviting me and present this. Thanks a lot. Thanks, guys. Any questions? Feel free to ping me uh, to. Oh, sorry, I don't think I mentioned my Telegram ID. So this is my Telegram ID. Any one of you can directly there. Thanks a lot. Thanks, guys.